Ah, bollocks.
Alright guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. I actually recorded this a couple of days earlier because on Monday I'm actually away on holiday. We're going down to it's a sort of caravan site near Scarborough. Just looking forward to getting away for 7 days, Monday to Sunday. Um, Me, my wife, Eva, and the two dogs, one of which is in here with me at the moment. Excuse me. Heading down there for 7 days. I'm actually on holiday for a week. Sorry, for 2 weeks. So the second week I will mostly be watching the Olympics, hopefully, which starts, I think it starts in a week's time, if not even less. So, I trust you've all had a decent week. My week hasn't been too bad. I do have a bit of the cold. Now, I hate that term man flu. That's a lot of bollocks. I have got a cold. I think a lot of people refer to a cold as being the flu. Well, if you've got the flu, it knocks you for six. But the funny thing is, I really don't get ill. I simply don't. I sometimes wonder what I'm going to die of. I've never actually been to hospital for anything in my life, and I sometimes wonder what I'm going to. I'll probably get hit by a car or with something stupid like that. But what was I talking about? Yeah, I really don't get the cold. I just don't get the cold, and I have been drinking beetroot juice, which is apparently meant to be excellent. It's meant to be really good for you. Various things from reducing depression, stress, blood pressure, reduces your chance of cancer. You name it, it does it. So I've been drinking beetroot juice for 4 weeks, and lo and behold, I get my first cold in about 5 years. So go figure. Excuse me. So just excuse me as I clear my throat every now and again. So, what have we got to talk about? What have we got here? I've got a couple of things I'm going to gibber about. I'm just going to have a wee drink of my tea first, or my, it's actually coffee. I used to drink a lot of coffee, but I've got a taste for tea these days. Lovely and stone cold. Anyway, right, I'm not even going to talk about the news. It's just too depressing. Well, I will talk about the news for a second. I don't know. I just wonder where things are all going to end. It just seems that every other now. If you wonder why the camera's moving, it's because I'm using my mobile phone, and it's actually using the forward facing, or is it the backwards facing camera, which is the lesser of the two. And I just want to see what the quality is like, but it's a lot easier just putting the phone on the tripod, and I've got a weight supporting it. The news, there just seems to be so much shite going on at the moment. It really does. Obviously, all the terrorism that's going on just now. It seems that everybody is a political expert. Everybody seems to know how to solve it. I don't know what the answer is. I think it's got to be somehow educating. Where you start with all of this, I have absolutely no idea. But yeah, all I can say is my thoughts are with all the people, families, etc., who are currently suffering through all the atrocities that are happening in the world right now. Um, the only thing is that I would say is it's it's funny. I was driving to Glasgow yesterday, and I was thinking about. I mean, it was on the news, about the priest getting his throat cut and all that, and it was on the radio, and I was thinking about it all, and I started to get myself a wee bit not worried as such, but I was thinking about it, and it was getting me a wee bit down about things, and I thought to myself, you know what, you've these things are still fortunately very, very few and far between. I mean, the likelihood of you being involved in something like that is absolutely minute. You've probably got 10 times a better chance of winning the lottery than you are of getting caught up in something like that, thankfully. And you simply can't afford to let it get you too much. You've got to just, you've got every sympathy in the world of what's going on, but you've just got to, buckle up and make the most of your life, enjoy it while it's here. So anyway, like, enough of the doom and gloom and my sneezing and whatnot. Aye, right. Pokemon Go. Where do we start with that? It's been a bit of a phenomenon. Phenomenon, is it? I think it is. The first I got to hear about Pokemon Go, it was actually Monkey Spaz. He had made a post about saying, where can I get Pokemon Go for my phone? And I'm like, what? Pokemon for your phone? You know, how can that possibly be? And then it was literally within the next couple of days, the whole thing kicked off. Now, I've got to honestly say, I have never tried it. I mean, I've not got it installed on my phone. I've got no interest. Um, I love video games. I mean, my daughter, I wouldn't say she's addicted to it, but anywhere we go, she's hunting for Pokemon. Now, I've got to say, it's getting her out the house. I mean, she's actually said to me on quite a few occasions, Dad, can I go with you to take the dogs for a walk? Whereas normally she's not interested, so it's getting her out and about, which is quite good. But I don't really get it myself. I mean, I said to my daughter, there's grown men playing this thing, and she says, well, you're a grown man, Dad, and you play video games, and she's absolutely bang on the money. But the difference, see, I'm trying to justify what I do and poo-poo what these guys do, but the difference for me is I play video games. I actually, I get something out of it. I don't know, it's a challenge. Whereas all these people are doing is collecting. But then I suppose they could say they're getting something out of it, and they could also say it's a challenge for them as well. So, you know what, at the end of the day, it's not hurting anybody. I've read some stupid stories about people, is it creating an account and collecting X number of Pokemon and then selling them for stupid money. If you're that daft that you're going to go paying thousands of pounds for something like that, then you must be absolutely off your head. But yeah, but what's interesting is apparently Nintendo have actually confirmed that they've not made any money with this. Apparently they don't own the rights to Pokemon, which I was really surprised to hear. And also the company that own Pokemon, so Nintendo aren't actually making any money out of this. And what I've heard is apparently when the whole thing kind of just escalated as far as popularity, a lot of people bought shares in Nintendo, and apparently the actual share price has plummeted, which is a bit crazy. So, aye, Pokemon. You know what? It's no nobody's getting hurt. If it's encouraging people to get out and get a bit of fresh air, then happy days. That's what I say. Right. Robot Wars. Now, if you're from the UK, you probably know what Robot Wars is. It was a program that started. I don't know when it actually started. I think it was late 90s, maybe 1998, something like that rings a bell. And basically, what it is, if you don't know, it's teams of people build robots. Now, these robots, they're quite big. They're maybe yawn size, pretty big. They're not little, miniature remote control things. They're big, big things. Some of them weigh like a ton in weight. And it's basically all these teams of people, teams of 3, 4 people. They build these robots, and they put like big weapons, axes, grinders, claws, flippers, all that kind of stuff. And they take part in bouts against other robots until one of them eventually becomes demobilised, and then it goes on to the next round. So that started in 1998, and it was massive. It was really, really popular. And the funny thing is, one of my mates, in fact my best mate, his one of his mates, a guy called David Crosby, he actually had a team in Robot Wars. What was the name of what was the name of his robot again? Um, Oh, bloody hell. It's funny when you're trying to remember something, it flashes across your eyes for a second. No, Cyclone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll try and remember it. But he had a robot in about 3 or 4 episodes, not episodes, series. I mean, it went on to like, I don't know, 6 or 7 series. He took part in quite a lot, but his robot was absolutely shit. It was literally the worst robot ever. Abysmal. But aye, anyway, why am I mentioning it now? Robot Wars stopped being aired. I think it was, bloody hell, when was it? Somebody said to me, was it about 11 years ago, something like that. And the BBC announced, is it BBC? Yeah, it was BBC, I think it was. They announced that they were bringing it back. And bring it back they did. The first episode went out on last Sunday, I think it was, at 8 o'clock. And excuse me, I've got to say I really enjoyed it. What they've done is, previously what they would do is they would, they'd put the robots, the names in a hat, and it'd be literally, that one against that one goes to the final, that one against that one goes to the final. But what you'd find is, I mean, in the arena that they fight in, there's like pits and there's like house robots who they can attack the sort of contestants robots. What you sometimes found was some of the better robots. I mean, obviously some of the robots were really good and some of them were absolutely diabolical. But what you found sometimes was that the good robots would maybe accidentally fall down a hole. And what you eventually ended up with is like maybe two crap robots in the final, whereas the better robots had been knocked out. But in this new series, what they've done is it's like a sort of table. So there's maybe, I think, is it two teams? No, there's there's 8 robots, I think, and you have 4 bouts. So then the 4 winners go into kind of knockout stages. They then, each of the 4 robots, excuse me, fights the other 3 robots once. So it's like a league table, you get points, which basically meant that the best robots got through the final. So it was on Sunday, really good. If you're from the UK, go on to BBC iPlayer, and you can find it there. Definitely worth watching. There's what's the name of the guy? Dira O'Brien, an Irish guy. He's a sort of comedian. He does doesn't do the commentary. He does the sort of presenting. And they've got, is it Jonathan Pierce? Is it? I think it is. Does the commentary. But brilliant. I love it to bits. I think you've got to be a bit of a geek to enjoy it, but it's hugely fun. And yeah, what is there not to like about seeing giant robots kicking 4 tons of shit out at each other? So that is Robot Wars. Next, I'm going to be getting another wee drink of my hot beverage. Okay. Next on the agenda, as we spoke about last week, or I spoke about it, I should say, I talked about it. Nintendo are releasing this console thing. Now, I mistakenly said it was going to be, was it £100 or something? Now, apparently I'm talking shite. It's going to be, is it £50? Now, £50 for an officially made Nintendo console that's got, is it 50 games or something? That's pretty good. That's pretty good, it really is. I don't think it's going to be snapped up by proper retro heads like myself. Saying that, I don't actually have an NES, but the point I made before is I don't see that being a real NES. It's not. It's a remake. But yeah, I just wanted to correct that. It's not £100. It's about £50, I think it is. So that's probably not a bad price. It's probably the kind of thing a lot of guys will get, or girls will get, from their partners for their birthday and Christmases, and you never know, I might get one. But I see Sega have actually done the same thing. They have released, now, if I'm not mistaken, I think they are releasing, it's a miniature Sega Mega Drive. It's got, how many games? 80 built-in games. Lots of cracking games. But the great thing with this one is it actually takes a cartridge on the top as well. So it means that you can buy games, you can play original Mega Drive games in it. I'm guessing you could probably put the, what do you call it, one of the EverDrives in as well. I think that is going to be £50, I think it is, which is really good. I mean, I've got a Mega Drive down there, but I might well pick up one of these things because the size of it, I mean, it's smaller than a GameCube. It looks like super portable. And I think they're also bringing out a sort of handheld version. Is that right? I did read a quick article about it, and I think they're bringing out a handheld version. So yeah, that looks pretty good, but it was only a matter of time if Nintendo brought out an official console like that. I think it was only a matter of time before Sega did the same thing. So yeah, that is that one. Sorry, I'm kind of rushing this, guys. I've got quite a lot to actually do. I want to try and get a few videos put out, and then I can release them next week when I'm not here, so it gives you guys something to watch. Now, as I mentioned, when did I mention it? I mentioned last week, I have been collecting, I've been going a bit daft, buying Xbox 360 games, ever since Dean returned to gaming. He mentioned about getting a new Xbox 360, and I did the very same thing. So I have been trying to pick up as many games for it as possible. What I did was I did a Google on the sort of top 100 games, and then Dean, he had also put together his top, I think, 22 games. So I've been trying to pick up as many games as I possibly can. I've been buying tons and tons on eBay, not paying any more than, I think the most I've paid for any game is £4. I've been getting some games for £1, you know, I even got some for 80p. It's just ridiculous. But one thing that I've discovered, I mean, there's a CEX, or Sex, as my daughter tells me it's pronounced, I'm not convinced in that. It's a shop in the UK, I don't know, is it just in the UK? Possibly. You can take stuff in, trade stuff in, you get money for it, and then they then sell it on. Now, games in CEX are ridiculously cheap. What I didn't realise was they're actually cheaper than eBay. And what I found out was they've actually got a website, and I always went daft. I think I bought about 20 games, and it came to something like 20 quid. I said, what did I get? I got Call of Duty, was it Battlefront 3 or something, for 80p. It's just ridiculously cheap. But you know, if you're looking to buy, it's like games for older systems, Xbox 360, any of these kind of systems, go onto their website, cex.co.uk. I think every game that I actually looked at for the Xbox 360 they had, some of them are a wee bit more pricey, but fantastic. I would definitely go there than go to eBay. I mean, I did buy a few games on eBay, and some of them didn't have any manuals, and some of the boxes weren't in the greatest condition. But yeah, go to CEX for your games. It's a new outlet for games for me, and it's just excellent. Really, really quite chuffed finding that. Talking about 360 games, one of the games, Halo 4 I think it was, I noticed the manual was missing. So I contacted the guy, the eBay seller, and he wrote back and says that there was no manual included. So I did a Google, and sure enough, apparently Microsoft said any game that was published, I think, after 2012 did not include a manual. This was their way of trying to cut down and, you know, print and paper, save the environment. So I never realised that. You know, that's a manual was always one of the biggest parts for me getting a game. Quite sad actually that they've done away with manuals. Um, that was always one of the things, you buy a pirate game, you don't get any instructions. Well, it's the same now. You buy an original, you don't get any instructions, and even then, games now, I mean, some of the games that I've bought for like the PS4, it's like a single sheet of paper, and it shows you the controls, and that is it. You don't seem to get any kind of backstory to these games now, which is quite sad, because that was always one of the biggest sort of thrills of getting a brand new game, so. But yeah, if you're wanting cheap games, go to CEX. Now, I've just got another wee drink of my coffee. Now I was making, what was I making? I was making a They Did What video. Started it on, what day is today? This is Thursday. I think I started it on Monday. And I've probably spent, I would say without a word of a lie, I've probably spent probably 6-7 hours trying to put together this video. And the problem I had was I was putting it all together and the software kept crashing. Apparently it just doesn't cope very well when you've got far too much kind of going on. But I've been going back to it and adding to it. In fact, I mean, I've still got to do the sort of commentary part in it. But I must have returned to it maybe 10 times over the last 3-4 days to try and get it finished. And you know what? I'm actually starting to hate it. Not so much I'm hating doing it. It's annoying me now. It's It's only one video, and as anyone that makes YouTube content will know, you can you could spend hours and hours and hours making filming a video and getting very, very low views, you know, not much commentary, not much feedback at all. Then you can stick out a video that takes you 10 minutes. You know, I mean, my what do you call it, possibly the worst game ever series, where I just basically take a sort of an unknown crappy game, and I do a 10-minute mashup and basically rip it to shreds. It takes me literally 10 minutes to film, and they seem to get the high views. But this particular one that I'm doing, this is, it's probably taking me about 6-7 hours, and I've still not finished it, and I'm getting just completely and absolutely pissed off filming it. The problem with that is as well is you end up trying to do sort of take shortcuts, which you don't really want to do, because you've spent so much time putting it together, and then you're going to end up rushing it, you know, which isn't very good. So, right, okay, guys, that's the last of the stuff I was going to talk about. Because what I'm having to do is I want to record a second waffle before I go away on holiday, and then I can stick it up next Friday. So I need to keep a few a few things to talk about. So that's why this one is a wee bit shorter than it normally is. Right, I've got one. Well, I'm saying one question. I've got one series of questions from RetroHawk. Now, apologies, last week you did actually give me these questions last week, and I missed it. The reason being, and I'm trying to see why. I don't know. Sometimes comments on videos, they're deemed to be junk, and they get put into this kind of junk drawer, and you've got to approve it. Now, that was one of them. I found that tonight actually. Normally, if you get a comment, it's got a URL, it automatically gets filmed. It gets put away as like spam, but there's not any links in this. So I'm not quite sure why that one ended up in the sort of spam folder. But anyway, this is the only question I've got for this week's waffle, so I'll just fire away with it. Right, firstly, what you're saying, thanks for the response to last week's question, Alan. I have a couple for this week's episode. What is your opinion on resellers? Primarily ones that are just blatant rip-off merchants. For example, I saw some footage from a retro fair. The prices on this stuff were comedy, like £100 for a Super Game Boy and £50 for Sensible Soccer on the Mega Drive. I can't help but feel angry about this kind of thing. You know what? It's unfortunately it's something that it's always going to be. I mean, you know, there's always going to be some monkey that's trying to sell. I mean, well, I'll give you an example. At the Play Glasgow event, there was a stall trying to sell a Vectrex for 250 quid. Now, Vectrexes don't go for 250 quid. I think they have gone up in price recently, maybe over the last year. I mean, they are quite uncommon now. You know, they're not making them anymore. But you could probably get a Vectrex for £100. This seller was selling it for 250 quid. And the irony of it was they put down show special. In other words, they were trying to say that they'd actually reduced the price for the show. I was actually quite glad to see that it didn't sell. I mean, I was there on the Saturday, and it was still for sale on the Saturday evening just before I left. But you know what? You're always going to get people buying stuff. The thing that annoys me most of all is when, you know, a console comes out or something that comes out and it's hard to get. I mean, one of the sort of best examples I remember years ago was when the very first Wii came out. You could not get it for love nor money. You just simply couldn't get a hold of it at all. And there was obviously people were buying 3 or 4 versions, or not versions, 3 or 4 Wiis, and then they were selling them for stupid money. Unfortunately, you get that in any business, whether it's tickets for concerts. I mean, that's one of the big bugbears. I know nowadays, if you buy a ticket for a concert, what they'll usually try and do is you don't actually get the tickets until a couple of days beforehand. That's to try and stop resellers doing that very thing. But you always get that. It doesn't matter what it is. You're always going to get people buying and trying to sell it. I mean, the thing is, for somebody who's maybe not overly sure as to what they're looking for, if somebody was to go into eBay, say somebody wanted to, just say for example, they wanted to start collecting original hardware, they go on and have a look and they see a Mega Drive and it's 80 quid, and they'll think, oh bloody hell, that must be quite rare, it's £80. And they buy it, not realising that Mega Drives are not worth 80 quid, they're maybe worth 30, 40 quid, even if that sort of thing. But the thing is, there's people take a punt with trying to sell stuff for ridiculous prices. I mean, I was kind of, well, I wouldn't say I was caught out as such. I was, I'm going to let you see them, if I can find them. There we are up there, it's actually fallen now. Now, Dean has been, just starting my questions, he's been recommending various games. Now, two games which he recommended, big style, are Star Wars Battlefront, which is for the original Xbox. Now, I've got to say, I've heard of the game. Obviously I've heard of it, that there's a new one that's out. I'm saying new, it's been out for about 6 months to a year now. But this looks really, really impressive. This looks really nice. There's a bit here you're fighting at AT-AT. Yeah. Then they brought out the sequel, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, I paid, believe it or not, I actually paid 25 quid for this. I couldn't, that was one of the cheapest ones. Sorry, yeah, it was the Battlefront 2 I paid 25 quid for. Now, it's easy to think, bloody hell, you've been ripped off, mate. But, when you think about it, this game came out and it was probably 40 quid when it first came out. But yeah, if you look, the average price of this is about the 25, wee bit more. Saying that, I did see one for, I think it was 18 quid. I think it was the day after I already bought and paid for this. I saw one cheaper. But aye, it's the old eBay thing. People put stuff up and they class it as rare, even though it's as common as common as muck. Bloody hell, that was a jump cut and a half. Precisely about 10 hours jump cut. I was videoing the first part of this last night, which, what night was that? Thursday night. And the camera or my phone ran out of space, so I'm now actually filming this bit the next day. I was almost finished as well, so it was quite annoying that it cut out. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, we were talking about, Retrohawk was talking about rip-off merchants. Yeah, as I was saying, you always get people, regardless of what it is you're selling. It's not just video games, you get it in anything at all. I say tickets for concerts, anything at all. I mean, you go on eBay now and you look for a game or something, or some kind of system, and it's always sold as rare, very rare, with some stupid price. But I think sometimes the fact that something is so expensive, you might get somebody who's not really aware of prices, and they see that and they think, oh, I'm going to buy that because it's super expensive, that'll be a really good thing to add to my collection, not realising that they're spending way more than it's worth. But yeah, as I say, that guy at the Play Glasgow, 250 quid for a Vectrex, just absolutely taking the piss. But what does annoy me is, and I've mentioned this before, and it's kind of tagging onto this subject, is there are people selling SD cards with RetroPie and ROMs in it. Now, the RetroPie project is made completely free. The guys don't make any profit in this, they don't sell it at all. And yet there are people who are exploiting it. They're taking a free project, putting it onto a memory stick and adding ROMs. And I just think that's completely wrong. It goes against the whole ethical thing of emulation and this kind of community. So that really, really hacks me off big style. So yeah, as I say, you're always going to get guys that are doing that. But I think the thing you need to be aware of is, if you're ever going to buy something, always look on eBay, get a rough idea of the average price before you go and buy something. I mean, it's not the first time I've bought something thinking I'm getting it for a good price, and then you realise there's other ones that were cheaper, but you know, hey ho. So yeah, that is that. So as usual, Mr. Retrohawk, thanks for your question. Always really appreciate you taking time to do that. In fact, you've actually got a second part here. Also, what are your future plans for your channel? If you have any, do you plan on doing any more Blimey only? Those were brilliant in my opinion. Well, listen, thank you very much for that comment. The Blimey only, they've never been, as much as I really enjoy making them and I enjoy watching them because I like to listen to people talking about video games, and the guys that I've spoken to have always been, you know, I wouldn't say they're heroes of mine, but guys that are very interesting. They've always got good things to say. They've never been particularly successful as far as people watching them goes, and I've always wondered, is it something that's worth doing because do people really enjoy them? And that, I mean, I've got to say, you're the first person that's really said how much you enjoy it, so that's excellent for you to say that. I really appreciate you doing that. It's not for the lack of trying that I don't have any more of these to do. I mean, I have tried to get Dominic Diamond to do a follow-up, but he's not playing hardball. Saying that, I did post a picture. My daughter's a really good artist. She loves drawing. I posted a picture of some drawings that she done on Facebook the other day, and Dominic Diamond liked it, which is quite bizarre when you see your Facebook. So I showed it to my daughter. She's got no idea who Dominic Diamond is, but that's quite cool. But yeah, I've tried to get Dominic back on again. I've been trying like a Trojan to get Mr. Jeff Minter on. I think he would be excellent. But he's difficult to get a hold of. He really is. He's notoriously bad for not getting back to people, not replying to personal messages and that kind of stuff. I've also been, I've been trying to get a hold of John Studley, and we've just never actually managed to sit down and get it going. I want to get my good mate Tony Temple, who is the Missile Command World Champion, but Tony does an excellent arcade blog, fantastic, really really good. I'm trying to get a hold of Tony. He has agreed to do it, it's just a question of sitting down and doing it. So I want to get Tony just for him to talk about this arcade blog that he does. It's fantastic. He only started it maybe 6 months ago, and I think, was it shared on Reddit or something? He's been getting absolutely obscene number of views, really really good. So try to get Tony. Who else have been trying to get a hold of? Oh, you know, there's this, it's one of these things I was trying to get my mate Gareth, who wrote Luma, and sadly I had to cancel it, and I've never got around to reorganising it. So I will need to make a conscious effort to try and get more in, get more guys in, because I love talking to people, and that's one of my favourite sort of video types. Future plans for the channel, I'm certainly not planning to go anywhere. The funny thing was, I was recording a video the other day there, and my daughter wanted to go into the computer, and I said you can't because I'm on it, and she said that I was obsessed with YouTube, and I got a wee bit angry with her because when somebody says that, you immediately the sort of defence mechanism goes up. So I was a wee bit upset with her saying that, and I tried to talk to her. I says, look, you know, I'm not obsessed with it. I says there's having a hobby, and there's being obsessed with something, and I certainly don't put myself in the latter when it comes to YouTube. Yeah, I do sometimes. I want to make sure I've got content. I mean, I've been trying to bang out some videos that I can upload next week when I'm on holiday. But as far as the future of the channel goes, just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I always like to try and come up with new ideas, because I think at the end of the day, you know, making the same videos over and over again just becomes really dull and boring for the person doing it, and it also becomes dull and boring for the people that are watching it. So I'm always trying to come up with different ideas. You know, the sort of the other features that I've got, the Arcade Perfect, my arses, they're always still quite popular. I still enjoy making them. They don't take a long time to make. They Did What? I have got one which will be getting put out next week. I mentioned it earlier on. It took me hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and I'm just desperate to get the bloody thing finished. So yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Hopefully you'll continue to stick with me. So listen, I want to wrap this up. The very last thing is shout out corner. That's what it's going to be known as. This week I am going to give a shout out to a chap. He goes by the name of Tony, and his title is Retronic Collector. Link down below. Now, Tony's been going, I don't know how long he's been going for. I've been aware of his channel for maybe 6 months. I think he's just over, I think he's got about 106 subscribers. Now, I hope Tony doesn't take this the wrong way, but Tony's a bit like me. His production values are quite low budget. You know, Tony Kenny, I think he's got a smartphone and he just holds it up and he records his videos. Bit like what I do. Well, I've now got a hard disk sitting on top of the tripod holding the camera in place. But you know what, I've always maintained, I mean, that one of the sort of the most famous YouTubers in our wee community is Lawn Boys Post 1975. Dave would admit to anybody that his production values aren't the greatest. It's all about the content. It's all about what you talk about, what you feature. So you don't have to have a big fancy 1080p camera to put out a good channel. And Tony Retro, I can't even pronounce your title, Retronic. He does a lot of great videos. He's really keen. He's very much a community person. He's always like giving shout outs to other people. He's always thanking people for posting comments, doing VRs and that kind of stuff. He always takes part in VRs as well. I really enjoy what Tony puts out, so please go and check him out. Give him a wee bit of support. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button and let's get him a few more views, because it's all about, you know, it's easy and it's the easiest thing in the world to give up with something if you find you're not getting any response. But go and support Tony. I really appreciate you doing that. So anyway guys, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Finally, thank you very much for all your support as usual, and lastly, thanks very much for watching.